Steal his.
Very nice.
Steal Todd. Todd, don't give Todd a microphone when he doesn't need one. All right. I'm going to turn the music off. You guys don't want to hear my ambient music. Put me to sleep. All right, everyone. Welcome to our next session, non-traditional talent recruitment. And for those of you who've been joining me, I finally get to stay on the microphone today, so I'm very excited about that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Almeida. I am the Director of Education for the Massachusetts Restaurant Association Education Foundation, longest title on the planet. And I'm very excited today to have a fantastic panel here of experts on working with the non-traditional population. So I'm just going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to go right down the line here, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves, the organizations that they work for, and what those organizations do. So Todd, why don't you just take it away?
All right. Good morning, everybody. We've still got 10 minutes left. My name is Todd Angilly. I'm the Director of Workforce Development with the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. I get you beat on the title there, Jen. So with that, the individuals I'm working with are within the state prison system, parole, and then we collaborate with the sheriff departments from all over the Commonwealth and probation. So all of my clients, prospective employees, have criminal backgrounds, but we are also involving them in intensive vocational training while they're with us, and that includes culinary training throughout all of our facilities.
Awesome, thanks, Todd. So my name is Brennan. I work for a nonprofit here in the city of Boston called Action for Boston Community Development. I run programs for 18 to 24-year-olds living in the Boston community, as well as the Metro North community. Recently, with Jen and the Restaurant Association, we've been running a program called HOPES. It was the last 3.5 years, and we work with 18 to 24-year-old returning citizens. So what we have to do is we get to be here as the supportive services for returning citizens coming back in, interested in getting into hospitality and the restaurant industries. And so what we'll be able to talk to a little bit more is just sort of what that background is like working with the population and how supportive it can be having somebody like a nonprofit like ABCD attached to a person upon release and starting up working in a restaurant like yours.
Hi, my name is Chaitra Sanders, and I'm the Associate Director for the Massachusetts Health Connector for Business. We're the state's health insurance marketplace that has a focus on assisting small businesses here in Massachusetts with the opportunity to provide affordable quality health coverage to themselves and their employees. So my focus today is just to give you a little bit of overview of what is available to you as a small business owner and this great benefit that you can provide your employees, which is health and dental insurance.
Hi everyone, my name is Keith Pabian. So I actually own two businesses that are applicable to this conversation. So the first is Pabian Law. It's a national immigration law firm headquartered in Framingham. And what we do is a lot of seasonal and year-round visas for the hospitality industry. The other business is called Seasonal Connect, which we launched during the pandemic. And what Seasonal Connect does is it allows seasonal organizations to find staff, both American and international, as well as to partner with opposite season organizations to send workers back and forth. And I think we'll talk about that as we go on.
Absolutely. So as we can tell with our growing audience, staffing is a major issue, not just in the restaurant industry, but everywhere. So my first question is going to be a little geared towards Ryan and Todd here. Can you guys explain the stigma around returning citizens and how, as a business owner, can you see through that to find the value in that particular population?
Yeah, so I'll let Todd talk a lot more to this as well, since he's got a lot more experience in it. But from my perspective, the biggest thing with the stigma with returning citizens is really just thinking more of a person as being dangerous, or not really being able to value them as an employee who can stick to doing work, who can show up every time, being that reliable person. And the stats around that are actually showing that it's the opposite way around. Once somebody has been able to get out, gone through their rehabilitation, and are returning, they are going to be much more likely to be sticking with the organization or the company that they then get hired by. You're going to have them there for you a lot longer. They have a real reason to not leave that job and to stay. And as long as you show any sort of little bit of an investment in them, they're probably going to end up being the best worker that you have. They're really looking to have that chance to make that next leap, to kind of take control of their life again. And somebody being able to be there to give them that chance to kind of reimagine themselves and to show who they really are outside of just the fact that they have been to prison or been arrested for something. I think that that's the biggest part, especially when talking about the stigma. They're going to feel it a lot more than other people will. So just allowing the space for somebody to actually feel like they're a valued employee, giving them the opportunity to grow, and investing in them, they're going to give that back to you more than somebody else who could then very quickly just jump off and go into sort of another spot or another place of business.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to repeat too much of what Ryan said, and he hit it spot on. But just to augment that, we're not only, I think we took everybody right here in these seats and said, go find a job. Pretty much everybody's going to go get some type of employment. Whether or not that employment is going to be something that you enjoy, you have some sort of passion, feel good about, and after 6 months is still going to be here, probably we all know where that's going to end up. What we're doing is we're identifying their skills and interests. We're looking at who are they and what makes them tick. Yes, they have that questionable background, they've made a mistake. Sometimes I'll joke or whatever and say, well, the difference between them and me is they got caught. We have many different levels. Of course, we've got the worst of the worst, but the people that we're working with, these people that have just had a bad go of it, have had the opportunity to be with us and identify that there's a better way to do it. And that's what we're really doing, behind the wall, as we call it. But what's great about what we're doing is we're looking, especially myself, looking to connect with the employees and bring the employees into the facility. Specifically to culinary, I've been to some of the facilities. I remember going to one, and the guy is training as a chef, and he's making a beurre blanc sauce. I mean, who would ever think that that's going on behind the wall? These individuals are learning concrete skills that are useful, current, and translatable to what's going on out there, but it's getting through that stigma. But I think there's been a big paradigm shift as well, where a lot of us have friends, acquaintances, maybe even family members that have been involved with the criminal justice system. Plus, we've got that horrible employment landscape out there right now. So the sense of urgency has been created, but just getting you guys to come on board and become a part of this is really what we're trying to put the focus on, because they are learning translatable skills. And lastly, also, not everybody's ready to go to work. So they will go through these very intensive vocational training programs, but not everybody is ready to go into a work setting. So we're identifying that too. So the way I do it is if you're looking for someone for your company, I'm going to nobody before I refer you somebody. So we're also making that right referral.
And I'm just going to be a little bit. I've been working with Todd and Ryan for, as they said, about 3.5 years now. And I personally have gone to a facility that Todd works with. And when I left that facility, I had a list of 20 gentlemen who were going to be released within the year who wanted to work in the restaurant industry, who had also had experience working in the restaurant industry before being incarcerated in that particular facility. So there's a population there that is being untapped. That people, again, that stigma is there, so we need to work on looking past that stigma to say that these are great workers, and we want to bring them and give them that second chance and that opportunity to showcase the skills that they do have. I'm going to move over to, I'm going to go out of order with my questions, so. I want to talk a little bit about healthcare, because again, the non-traditional talent could also refer to the fact that, restaurants in the past have again another stigma of not being a long-term employment option. It's a short-term, and a lot of that reason being behind the healthcare issue of we want a job. I mean, I remember when I was in school and my dad's like, you need a job with healthcare. That's the most important thing when you get out of work. When you're out of college, you get a job with healthcare. And restaurants kind of have that stigma of, well, that's not what they offer. So can we talk a little bit about what is the benefit of offering healthcare to your employees as a small business or a small restaurant?
That's a great question, Jen. And do you mind if I ask the audience a quick question?
Have at it.
How many of you are small businesses? Okay, well that's perfect. So did you all know that if you have more than 50 employees, you are required, mandated to provide health insurance to your employees. But if you have 50 or fewer employees, it's a benefit that you can decide to offer to your employees. So offering health and dental insurance can make you stand out as an employee. And what we here at the Health Connector for Business decided to do was make it easier, more affordable for you as a small business to put health and dental insurance in your budget. Because I hear a lot come, back and we can't afford it, and people are asking about it. Let's think about what we're coming out of. I still say we're coming out of it, right? We're the pandemic. It was health related. A lot of people, have this on their mind now. Do you provide health insurance? Can I have access to health insurance by taking this job, right? So what we want to do at the Health Connector for Business is make sure that small businesses actually feel empowered that they can provide health insurance and that they could afford health insurance for their employees. And one of those ways that we do that is we provide an option for the business to create a budget, right? Because we're budgeting everything we do every day for our business, and benefits is one of those things that we budget. But while you're budgeting, you're also not being limited to make the decision for all your employees that you're giving them the same exact benefit plan. That no one in your business is exactly the same, and no one has the exact same healthcare needs. So what we have designed is this thing called the employee choice model, where you as a small business can go to our online platform, have access to all the leading insurers in one location, and then find the one that fits for your budget, okay, as the business. And then provide that budget amount, that contribution amount to your employees, and then they choose the plan that suits their needs and their family's needs. Some people might need more coverage than other people. Some people might need different doctors than other people. And through our platform, we're allowing you as a small business to give that option, those decisions that the employee can make themselves. I just also wanted to note, and maybe any of you three also might know, that benefits, including health and dental and life insurance and all of those things, when they come out of an employer payroll, they're pre-tax. So at the same time, you're saving your employees money because they're actually getting these benefits pre-tax. If you're not offering your employees health insurance or dental insurance and they have to get it on their own, which they do because it is a state mandate, every person here has to be covered with health insurance in Massachusetts, they are actually buying that health insurance after taxes. So it's actually costing them a little bit more. So there's a lot of great opportunity for you to provide health benefits. And what I've always heard is if you actually provide health insurance and someone is covered, they'll probably be more productive. You know why? Because they have the health insurance. They're going to go get seen by their doctor for their well visits, or when they actually get sick, not when it gets to a point where it's an emergency. So you will get more productivity at work.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Keith, I'm going to come down to you. I want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of a say here. So I'm going to ask a question to our audience here. Is there anybody here who is a seasonal restaurant, who's only open winter, summer, anything? Ooh, cool. We have all season here. But anyways, Massachusetts has a strong reputation for being a seasonal workplace with our 4 seasons here. Are there any non-traditional ways to work with and hire this population?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the immigration side first and then work my way back.
Perfect.
So
it's the frequencies, it'll pop in and out. You're doing great.
Thank you. So one of the things that that's out there that I think is underutilized by a lot of restaurants especially is H2B visas. There are 2 different types of visas that you can look at if you're looking at international workers. One is called a J1 visa, which is completely free for you guys. The other is the H2B, which is not free. It's an employer cost. But even though none of you raised your hand that you're not seasonal, the way the government, we have one.
Awesome.
The way the government actually defines seasonality is as long as you can show that there are at least 10 months out of 12 that you're busier than those other two, they deem you seasonal. So what I have found is, outside of maybe a little bit of the Midwest, most do have some level of seasonality that they can prove. What's nice about foreign nationals and employing them legally, which you all should, is that it's a demographic that in work. Hospitality is very big in other countries, and what a lot of our clients say is that once you bring them in, it can bring up the whole work level of an organization. So it's not for the faint of heart. You definitely need to make sure you do it right, that you have the right, but it's a way to find people that want to actively work. Now, going to the other side of that, one of the things that a lot of our clients have done, and those that just use Americans, is through this other company that we started where they actually send the workers back and forth to other seasonal locations. And again, seasonal means a lot of different things. So there are some organizations that need people for a very short amount of time. And so it can work out really well, where the way I've been saying it is you find people that want to do the jobs, right? They're actively in the field, they want to be cooking, serving, hosting, whatever it might be, and they want to come see a different part of the country or just make a lot of money when the restaurant is so busy. So there's ways to also do a model that I've seen for years work on the immigration side with Americans as well. But again, even if you're open year-round, that's okay. It's all about trying to understand if there's some months where you see your revenue and expenses dip a little bit.
Well, you know, we'll go to questions now. We're just gonna do things differently. So, what?
Yeah, hi guys. So I have both a seasonal and a year-round restaurant on Cape Cod. They are amazing when they come over to work. They work phenomenally well. I always get nervous. Well, first of all, do you know what happened to the American college labor force that used to be phenomenal? Is there still a way to tap into that? Are there training programs between colleges? And I call culinary schools.
I can answer that a little bit. One of the things that's happened, I mean, you guys all know this. With the pandemic, and it was already going this way, there was such an emphasis, I think, on other industries and jobs, and I've seen it also with the trades, where that group is drying up. And so what we've seen, which is scary to me, is a number of universities have actually cut their hospitality programs. And so what's scary to me is this isn't an issue today, this is an issue generationally right now. And so what's great is some of our larger employers that we work with are doing a lot of investing back into building hospitality schools, offering those programs. But this is not a 1 or 2 year issue. We're in this for a while.
Todd keeps giving me a look because part of my job is actually working with youth, and I work with a program called the Pro Start program, which is a national program that trains high school students. And this word stigma keeps coming around, but there is a stigma when it comes to the restaurant industry, right? And what I think we're facing right now with the generation that's in college and in upcoming high school is their parents don't want them in the restaurant industry. So they're telling them, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go do anything but work in the restaurant. So we are actively, and through many different avenues, are actively working to combat that stigma, to say that we're a fantastic career. We have amazing career growth opportunities, right? There's no other industry where you can go from the lowest level employee to the highest level employee without a college degree or anything of that nature. So we are constantly working, and unfortunately there's one of this horrible thing of it's a long game and not a short game. But what we need help from you guys, right? We need help from our restaurants that are out there right now, and we need to work on our environments, and we need to showcase that to these parents and to these upcoming students that this is a fantastic environment to work in. It's not that hostile kitchen that you saw when you were growing up, where the chef is throwing plates at you, right? Those really don't exist anymore, and so we just have to get out of that stigma. And what we need restaurateurs help. right? We need you to come and meet with someone like me and say, hey, I want to establish a relationship with these high schools. So let's get them to high school level. Let's get them at the middle school level, because they cut home economics in middle school, right? In Massachusetts, home economics is gone. These kids, I remember in middle school, cool, I'm gonna make Rice Krispie treats in home ec. This is great, right? That's gone. Okay, so they're not even getting it until they get to the high school level anymore. And like you said, many high schools are actually reducing their programs. We're lucky in the state of Massachusetts. We do actually have a really great vocational program in Massachusetts. I work with 40 different schools across the state, but there are more in Massachusetts that have programs. And it's not just in what we would consider a vocational high school. Traditional high schools do have programs. In fact, some of our most active schools that use my program are comprehensive high schools that have a cooking class, and the kids are very into it. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal all you guys' thunder here. But that's kind of going to actually be really great to pull into my next question, which is the traditional ways of recruitment, they're not working anymore, right? So what are some new methods that businesses can adopt to attract non-traditional workers, or any worker really?
I'm going to jump in. First of all, when you said Cape Cod, I got to shiver up my spine, because that is just the hardest location because of the seasonal aspect, and our guys leaving needing that consistent year-round employment. But that's when you need to get creative. And really, other than speaking with someone like Jen with that population that's coming out, is reach out to Barnstable Sheriff's Department. Reach out to me. We'll exchange information later. I can put you in touch. Where they have these culinary programs where the guys are coming out, they're being trained, they're being, serve safe, so all this stuff is happening behind the wall, and they're ready to go to work. And I want to back up and say, like Ryan was talking about the need for employment and all that. They're not simply just showing up somewhere because they need a job. They're committed to that environment, that trade, because they found their enjoyment of it, their passion. So they want to go to a place, land there, become a part of that company, and stay. So then, also speaking of, health benefits and all of that, if they have all of that, it's just the total package that's going to keep them right there. Our guys are used to chasing, grinding it out, finding where the next check's coming from, because they haven't had that stability. And then with where your environment, where you are, we just have to get creative. And we reach Plymouth County, Barnstable County, so they can still, head back. So that's all I wanted to.
Yeah, and then to kind of continue on to that, I think that one of the big things they're seeing now is each restaurant, each area, it's a different culture, right? We have a different way that we want it to be run. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little bit of a different vibe from employee to employee and the way that things are run. And I think that one of the really good things to do is actually just have potential employees come in for a visit, see what the day is like, do sort of, like a mock run through of what it actually might look like, or come to an organization like myself that might be running a culinary group and really getting to meet the individuals. And then what you'll find is there'll be some that it's just not their thing. We'll know right away, move on from them. And then there'll be others that'll come up to you that'll feel like, wow, this place has like an energy that I'm really feeling good about, that I could see myself at, that I could see myself wanting to go to work. And really that's where it's going to be in finding the right people. Because that's really what it is. We don't want the restaurant industry to get stuck with that in and out, in and out, in and out. And working with kids 18 to 24, and working with returning citizens, working inside of programs like this, really what it is we're building sort of that culture of love and trust, where there's that space to really feel like they have a home, that they're here, that they're valued. And that's what's going to keep people there. It might be a little bit slower in the beginning for some of the younger kids, like working them in. But what the beauty of that is that you'll get to train them up the way that you'd like to. So I really, you're talking about the college age, and so I work with kids that they decided college wasn't really what they wanted to do, and that's an age where they're still really ready and eager to learn. They just haven't found something that they've wanted to learn yet, or a passion that they're looking for. And so if we can, really hold in on that and show them that passion, and allow them to have a space to learn in a different type of learning style, that's where we're going to see people staying longer, really finding out that that's something that they can do, what the career structure looks like, how they can move up inside of your organization or restaurant, and even if it's cooking or managing or waiting tables, whatever that answer might be, but they'll be able to kind of see that experience by sort of going or talking with the owners or the managers at a more personal level.
And when I think about this question, but actually both of them, the seasonal and the non-traditional way, when I think about it in reference to health and dental benefits, which is the subject matter area that I'm an expert on, I think, how can you be more attractive, right? So if you do offer health insurance, the requirement is to offer it to your full-time workers. From my understanding, and you guys are the experts on this, sometimes in the restaurant business, hours fluctuate. And sometimes people aren't always full-time, sometimes they're part-time. Maybe for a more stable recruitment and retention kind of technique, you can offer to all your employees. Because you do have, through the Health Connector for Business, you do have that way of controlling your budget, where you're not too worried about who enrolls, and those who do actually need the access to the health coverage or the stability of it through their job, then they do have it. And they're not worried about the fluctuating hours and when am I full-time, when am I benefit eligible. So there are ways to think about, the setup and when you're bringing people on and when you're keeping people on.
And I guess just to close it out, I've spoken about what I do, but one of the things I would say is try new things. Don't say no. Don't say no. It's funny, I was at a conference last week and I was leading a session. We did some roundtables and I said, we're going to throw out the idea, and your role is you have to come up with ideas, but you can't say no to any of them. And I think a lot of people initially shut it down, and by the end of it, they came up with some really great ideas. And I think what you're seeing up here is, this is one of the first panels that I've been on where there's actually multiple solutions to get a lot of people, versus a lot of the panels I've been at have been, you get like one or two people and then you need to move on to other solutions. And so, but a lot of it is looking at things differently, trying things, seeing if it fits for your restaurant, but you have to be open to trying them first.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that those are all really great answers, and I think that this is a very unique panel in providing solutions to this labor problem. And I am going to make a quick plug that kind of goes along with our Health Connector stuff. You can always visit the MRA's booth. A benefit of being an MRA member is working with the Health Connector and our membership team to help you figure out what health works for your organization and those part-time employees. So definitely go visit us over there, because that's a big benefit. And so I think we're doing really great on time, so I'm going to open it up to if there are any other questions from our audience for our panel here. I'm going to come out. Yeah, I'm coming.
These are all great. Where can we find more information? Like what websites do we go to? All these H1
all of our panelists will be hanging out here after the session, and you can connect with them directly to get their contact information. A lot of these guys are directly connected with the Massachusetts Restaurant Association, so worst comes, if you're not sure, start with us, and we'll point you in one of their directions. Do you have any other questions? Coming this way.
I have one question for Todd. With people coming back and being reintegrated, you talked a lot about culture and how it works. What are some strategies that you've seen working for bringing people from obviously different culture, being incarcerated in prison, and then integrating them into a restaurant culture that's been built up over the years, and really trying to find the right group of people and how they can work together?
Yeah, so we have a great luxury of when I go out, so that's part of what I do, so that's, I guess I'm kind of soliciting that from you. With interest, I go out and meet with employers individually. I'll come to your place, whatever, and we can talk about what your needs are. And we've got it pretty much boiled down to a little occupational humor, with the MRA, to actually identify the skills that our people have, and actually with the knowledge that the MRA has of that restaurant or whatever, who's going to work best in that environment. We know that different chefs work different ways. I've worked in the service industry since I was a kid, so I actually have extreme familiarity with that. But really, like I said before, we're not only identifying the hard skills, when we're saying, what is it that you want to do? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are your skills? And it comes down to, I had a guy released from Sousa. So Sousa is our max. 20-year sentence, was an extremely bad charge, but it was okay enough to be, referable. No cooking experience whatsoever. But the COs would tell me whatever he's doing in his cell smells awesome, and it's incredible. And we don't know how he's doing it because he's got no equipment, he's got nothing but a radiator. And so I was able to talk with him and identify that, and then came down to where do you need to be? What are your tendencies? We're getting to know these guys before we refer them out. We're not just simply facing and placing. And like I said before, they could have all the skills in the world, but maybe they're not ready to be in a work environment. Be able to take constructive criticism or just direction or whatever that is. There has to be that communication. It's almost like more occupational, you're putting it in order. This is what I need. I need these skills. I need this individual to be able to do this, this, and this. Availability, all of it. And we're able to identify that. And like I said, we know where they're returning to and who they're going to be living with. We're setting them up with all of their supportive services, healthcare, IDs, all that stuff. So that it really comes down to that conversation between us and you. I could send you 20 guys and hope it works, but that's really not what it's about. And we've also integrated another program. We call it a Credible Messengers program. So we actually have formerly incarcerated individuals who are working in the community to kind of act as mentors. So they're there to be the sounding boards, to assist them, maybe give them some rides or, offer them support. So we've really churned it around. Corrections has done this big 180 and we're really moving forward. But I hope that answered that question. Yeah. Excellent.
We had another question, right?
Keith, a question for you. When it comes to, do you have people that come to you that are looking to be placed in that J1 visa program or H2B visa program, and do you find that there's people that approach the, a restaurant or a company, but don't have documentation, so that organization then reaches out to you and says, hey, listen, I'm looking to sponsor somebody that needs to be sponsored?
So, for your first question, through Seasonal Connect, yes. The tens of thousands of workers are in the system looking, and you can search by are they Americans, J1s, H2Bs. In terms of the second question, whether or not if a worker approaches a restaurant and then that triggers the restaurant reaching out to someone like us to go through the program, in my experience, it works better going the other way. So this immigration isn't always easy, right? It's very rarely is easy. But the way to make it work is thinking about what are your needs and then working backwards to the worker. So when we start working with a restaurant, a hotel, whatever it might be, the first thing that I always ask is, what do you need? And a lot of times they would say, hey, we already were approached by this individual, and I say, all right, that's great, but put that person to the side because that person might not ultimately work. But what you want to try to figure out is, what are the roles that you're really short with? What are the dates that you really could use that person during the course of the year? And then working backwards to see if that person will work. If that person doesn't, usually almost always you can figure out other ways. But if you start with the need of the organization versus the desire of the worker, it works a lot better.
Do we have any more questions? Keep them coming.
I guess this is probably a question for Ryan, but I guess anybody who might have some input. We talk about working with high school programs and getting kids involved in making restaurants cool again and wanting people to work there. And I guess almost a little bit more, we talk about really some of the most valuable people we can hire are 15, 16-year-olds. They work with us 2, 3, 4 years before they go away to college or if they go do something else. But how do you make that like the exciting place to work? We've had success getting some, hosts and bussers and things like that, but how do you get kids to want to work in the kitchen and make that fun and exciting for them?
I think the first step for that is really wanting to make sure that you're looking for kids that are in the direct community where that restaurant is. So trying to locate the patrons. Who are the patrons that have come here before? Do they have kids? And trying to kind of work your way through that way. That's going to be one of the easiest ways to kind of make that connection, because it's going to be somewhere they're already familiar with, somewhere that they feel comfortable with, somewhere that they've had their family around with. The other thing is offering kind of that, like I said, that open, kind of like an open house, right? Saying we're doing a hiring fair for high school. Please come by, see what it's like to work in an industry like this. And really the coolness for when you're that age is, am I working? Do people take me seriously? And does it have like is there an upbeat vibe? Like, do I feel more nervous to be there, or do I feel more like excited about the people that are there? And so there's going to be, each restaurant, you know, is going to have its own little theme. Some people are going to connect more with a certain type of theme of the restaurant. So just really putting that branding out of this is the type of environment we have, and really trying to focus in on that, which I think gets lost a lot in the hiring process of sort of what is our family like in the restaurant, not what does our restaurant do. We serve Italian food or what have you. It's what is it actually like? Do we have things that happen after school? Do we have opportunities to help you kind of learn and grow more? You know, how does everybody here know? How long have people been working here? Like those types of questions, especially for the younger kids, are good to know, because that means they have somebody they can look up to there. So if they've had somebody that's worked here for 5+ years or so, they're going to be like, I can learn from this person, and I can see why it's worth it. If it is a lot of more turnaround, the younger kids might feel a little bit more overwhelmed because there's not somebody there that they feel as comfortable that they can sort of lean on to ask questions. And when working with that age range, the biggest thing that happens, especially in restaurants, is really the safety for kids that age, because they are afraid to ask questions. They are afraid to think that they're making mistakes when really they could just ask to learn something. And so making sure that there is a person that's willing to kind of be that mentor and that trainer there is going to be something that's going to make people want to go in.
I'm going to touch on that. This is definitely something that I'm a little bit more of an expert knowledge on too as well. So this upcoming generation, they care about a few things. They care about environment, and they want to feel valued. And I'm not talking about wages. They want to feel valued, and another way to do that is provide educational opportunities for them, right? Involving mentorship or offering educational programs within your restaurant, right? Training, showing them that you're willing to invest in them and invest in their career, and they're going to be more loyal to you because you're spending money on them and investing on them and showing them that you care. These kids, this upcoming generation, yeah, they like money, but they care more about other things. They're less about money and more about what are your philanthropic ideas. What does your company do philanthropically? They're very philanthropic, this upcoming generation. So think about that as well. How can I get involved in my community and show that I'm supporting my community and these students? And then they're willing to come and work for you because they believe in your idea, they believe in what you do, and they like what you provide. So we, again, thinking non-traditionally, thinking out of the box with this upcoming generation is going to be really important. It's not going to work the same way that it did 10, 15 years ago. They believe in very different things. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have to have a social media presence. If you don't have a social media presence, they are not going to want to work for you because they want to be able to post things and you know what? Use that to your advantage. These kids are fantastic at social media, right? I'm not. I like to pretend that I know what I'm doing when it comes to like TikTok and stuff. But I'm constantly asking the students that I work with, I'm like, all right, what can we do better? And use that. And then they're going to feel invested, right? They're going to feel like you care. Oh, you value their opinion. You value their input into marketing your restaurant, marketing your business. So use them both ways.
Yeah, and then I always think too, after you said that, Jen, I kind of got another train of thought, and it's have sort of a specifically cut out task that you know is going to be for that age or for that person. I know for me, when I was starting in the restaurant industry, I worked at a place down on Martha's Vineyard, and I just memorized all the cheeses and all the charcuterie boards. So I was just the guy that did that. I went, I told them exactly where things were, where they were from, and I thought it was awesome. Like I knew more about it than any of the servers did, and it was like, I felt prideful to be able to be the guy to go out and do that. And people that are coming here spending a lot of money on a meal and I'm telling them where this cow was raised and weird things that I didn't need to know. But like somebody was just like, dude, that was really good. Can you do this for my table? And it sort of like developed into a thing. And I think that having sort of a specific task or a specific thing that you can have for that age, where you're going to be like, all right, you know what, we need you to be this guy. It's going to be an important thing, and just letting them know the importance of it. You see when they see that it's important, or they see that it means something, and that they're specialized to do it. That's going to be something where I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let's go. How can I learn more? How can I do this better?
Awesome. Well, we're going to do real quick. I want to have final thoughts from all of our panelists. We're going to start on the opposite end, right? We're going to start with Keith here, and just final thoughts, things that if we didn't cover it, or thoughts that what the takeaway from today. What are your thoughts?
I learned a lot. No, try new things. Consider immigration. I know that might sound scary to a lot of you, but it's a real way to get a lot of people in that can work for you. It's worth having the conversation at least. It fits. But try. I think that's my biggest takeaway.
And I'm going to kind of expand on something Jen said before. We are lucky enough to have a great partnership with the MRA. So if you have been thinking about offering health and dental insurance benefits for your employees, please, like Jen said, you can come see them. You can go to the website. We have designed a actual customer service special line for MRA members. So when you call, you actually get specialized service. They know that you're calling. You run a restaurant. This is easy for you to do. We don't charge you for it. You just pay the premium, so this isn't something that you have to pay for us to do. And Jen, correct, there are also some members who are insurance brokers at the MRA who can assist you for free. So you can work with other members of the MRA that will actually assist you with providing the best option.
Yeah, I don't want to give wrong information. If you have questions about health insurance or MRA benefits, there's a lovely woman sitting right there next to the camera, the Sharon Driscoll. She can answer those questions. I'm going to give you the wrong answer. Talk to her. Okay.
Sharon.
Yeah, talk to Sharon. Ryan?
Yeah, and my final takeaway, I'd like to just make sure, as a restaurant, as a small business in the community, invest in the community, be present in the community. I think that's going to be something that's going to be helping not only get patrons in, but also the younger employees, the people that are living near you around. That's going to be where the investment is. And don't be afraid to make new decisions, try something new, and then hire people outside of your normal hiring process. Give yourself an opportunity to sort of explore. Obviously right now we're in that kind of situation where things aren't working out as greatly as we'd like them to be, so imagination is going to be great, and the more that you can be imaginative and the more that you can be supportive in your communities, the stronger your brand, the stronger your business, and the better the employment and the people that are going there's experience is going to be at the restaurant.
Yeah, and lastly, just I'm going to say take a chance. Our individuals are being identified specifically for these different trades. And moving forward, these individuals are identifying that this is where they want to go. We're evidence-based driven. I'm not sure if that's made its way into the service industry yet, but all of our statistics and all of our lower rates of recidivism are at best when our individuals are being identified to those specific skills that they have, and then when they can get to a company, whether it's a restaurant or it's a welding company or construction, when they're there and they're brought in to be a part of that company, they want to be a part of that company. They don't want to bounce around. They want to have room for advancement. They're fine starting on the dishwasher if they know that the goal is to move them up through that company. They want to be a part of a team, and we can talk about that, and we can make the right fit. And
And my last thing is just, guys, get involved, right? Working with someone like me, again, I have connections to 40 different schools, and we've seen some of our restaurant partners who have worked with me seen a return on that. They've seen, they've been able to hire the students that I work with on a very regular basis. So think, and this is going to go, think non-traditionally. Stop going to the same places because they're not working. Find somewhere new. Thank you guys so much for coming. These guys are going to hang out here if you have any additional questions. And thank you so much for coming to the New England Food Show. Have a great day.